In today's fast-paced digital era, we are completely obsessed with data, spreadsheets, and cold hard facts. We like to think that as long as we have the exact receipts and statistical evidence, we can easily change people's minds and influence anyone around us. But if you really pause and think about it, is that actually true? Let us rewind for a second and think back to the wild times of the COVID-19 pandemic that we all lived through just a few short years ago. When you look back at that crazy period, do you actually remember the exact numerical total of victims who tragically passed away? Or do you mostly remember the vivid visual images stuck in your head, like photos of overloaded hospitals, people walking around in medical masks, empty ghost town streets, and intense social distancing reminders? Most of us naturally remember the visuals and the lived experiences far more than any dry spreadsheet full of numbers. Throughout human history, long before we had smartphones, social media platforms, or complex algorithms, stories were the ultimate way people communicated with each other. A massive amount of essential information was passed down through generations by our ancestors through pure storytelling. It was through these legendary tales, myths, and personal accounts that our social norms, cultural values, and community rules were originally created and passed down over time. Hello everyone, my name is Amalia, and welcome to my channel, Obah India. In this video, I am going to break down why stories actually stick in our minds so much better than raw statistical numbers ever could. When you really analyze human behavior, you realize that humans are essentially storytelling creatures by nature. Stories are literally the primary mechanism we use to process the world around us and make sense of our daily lives. From ancient myths told around prehistoric fires to modern news articles and viral online breakdowns today, stories are how we absorb chaotic information and build deep emotional connections with other people. But of course, as the famous saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. As storytellers in the modern world, we have to be super mindful and careful about the actual impact of the narratives we share. Are we staying completely honest and telling the full truth? Or are we only presenting a carefully edited fraction of the facts just because it fits the specific narrative or message we want to push? Are we taking the time to show both sides of the story, or are we just chasing dramatic conflict and quick clout? Every single one of these choices defines how we shape the world around us through the stories we tell. Imagine yourself sitting outdoors at night, gathered around a crackling campfire with your friends. You are completely locked in, enthusiastically listening to a compelling story being told by someone with great energy. The natural, rhythmic sound of burning wood glowing in the dark brings the whole atmosphere alive and makes the experience feel intensely real. No matter how many complex charts, graphs, or data points are thrown at us in our daily lives, our human brains are fundamentally hardwired to crave a good narrative. We do not just want random details. We want a story that hits deep and stays living rent-free in our heads long after it is over. So, what is the secret sauce that makes a story so wildly powerful and memorable compared to dry statistics? Cognitive researchers have actually conducted fascinating scientific studies to monitor human brain activity during different types of communication. They discovered that when a person listens to a well-crafted narrative, very specific regions across their brain light up in ways that simply do not happen when they are listening to raw numbers or statistical presentations. When we listen to a real story, our brain does not just passively absorb data like a dull computer drive. Instead, our brain actively participates in the experience. It is as if our minds literally step inside the story world and become an active participant in everything taking place. To see this dynamic playing out in the real world, look at a famous practical study that tried to raise awareness among working farmers regarding tractor safety and injury prevention. At first, researchers presented the farmers with clear statistical data detailing the high number of tractor-related accidents, severe injuries, and fatalities across the agriculture industry. But those statistics mostly went in one ear and out the other without changing much behaviour. However, everything changed when the researchers tried a different approach and shared a deeply personal story about an actual accident that happened to a real individual farmer. They detailed exactly what happened to that specific person on that specific day. It was that personal story and not the dry statistics that made a massive emotional impact. The farmers remembered every single detail of the story because they felt an immediate personal connection to the victim. They could vividly imagine the pain and real struggle that person went through on their farm. As a direct result, this single narrative actually changed their real-world safety behaviour on the job. A relatable story managed to penetrate their minds in a powerful way that raw numbers simply could not achieve. This psychological phenomenon is widely recognised by experts as the Identifiable Victim Effect. We see this psychological pattern playing out constantly in everyday life. When someone hears the detailed story of a single individual suffering through a hardship, they are infinitely more likely to feel genuine empathy, emotional connection, and a drive to take action compared to when they are presented with abstract statistical facts about thousands of nameless people suffering. This exact principle explains why charitable organisations structure their campaigns the way they do. When non-profits ask people to donate to a good cause, throwing pure data at the audience is rarely enough to drive action. It is the heartwarming or heartbreaking individual story of one single human being that truly touches people's hearts and compels them to open their wallets and offer real help. Why are our minds designed to react this way? A big part of the answer comes down to something deep inside human nature that you could call a form of psychological narcissism. We do not mean narcissism in a toxic, malicious, or selfish way, but rather in how we instinctively position ourselves as the central character in any story we hear. When we listen to a narrative, we are never just passive listeners standing on the sidelines. We automatically step into the shoes of the characters within the story. We start envisioning what we would do if we were placed in that exact same situation. We basically insert ourselves into the plot. We start asking ourselves internal questions like, would I make the same choices as this person? Or would I handle the situation completely differently? Because we naturally project ourselves into the narrative, the message feels intensely personal. This mental process plays a massive role in high-stakes environments, like the legal judicial system. Consider how the court system works in the United States. For instance, a federal grand jury consists of 16 to 23 individual citizens. In order for a suspect to be formally indicted or charged with a crime, at least 12 members of that grand jury must agree on the decision. These jury members are ordinary citizens pulled directly from the public, many of whom may also serve as trial jurors, evaluating complex cases. During a legal trial, these everyday citizens are presented with a massive, chaotic pile of facts, physical evidence, and conflicting testimony. The prosecutor is forcefully arguing that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, while the defense attorney is arguing the exact opposite with equal intensity. Faced with this overwhelming and messy flood of information, what do the jury members actually do in their minds? They naturally construct their own internal story. They take all the chaotic bits of evidence presented in court and assemble them piece by piece until they form a logical, easy-to-understand narrative in their heads. Once they have built that mental picture, they compare their internal story with the overall narratives presented by both the prosecutor and the defense attorney. Ultimately, they choose whichever attorney's story feels more believable and resonates strongest with their common sense. That is why an engaging, well-crafted narrative style in the courtroom can easily sway a final verdict on whether someone is guilty or innocent, often wielding far more power than raw, disconnected facts alone. However, there is a serious double-edged sword to this dynamic. A story that is extremely compelling and emotionally moving can spread like wildfire across society, even if the core facts are completely untrue. Take the infamous case of a young woman named Kitty Genovese, who was brutally murdered in New York City back in the 1960s. The legendary narrative surrounding her case, which circulated worldwide for decades, claimed that 38 individual neighbours and bystanders witnessed or heard her being attacked over an extended period, yet not a single person stepped up to help or even called the police. This sensational story became the ultimate global symbol of bystander apathy, pushing the idea that modern urban society makes people cold, indifferent, and heartless when someone else is suffering right in front of them. But decades later, investigative journalists and thorough historical researchers dug deep into the police files and public records, discovering that this dramatic version of events was not actually true. In reality, multiple people did attempt to call the authorities or yell out to scare the attacker away, while many other neighbours had no clear idea of what was actually happening outside. Yet despite being factually inaccurate, the original dramatic story was so insanely powerful that it became permanently etched into public memory, textbook psychology, and popular culture. It single-handedly shaped how an entire generation thought about human empathy and social behaviour, proving that a captivating narrative can completely overshadow reality. In our modern digital world today, this precise dynamic is amplified to an extreme level. Stories travel across social media, feeds at blinding speeds, reaching millions of people in a matter of seconds. It is honestly no surprise that we are constantly surrounded by viral hoaxes, misinformation, and fake news, hot takes on our feeds. That is why it is so crucial for all of us to be much smarter, sharper, and more critical consumers of content whenever we scroll past a trending narrative. Just because a story feels dramatic, emotional, or believable on TikTok, Instagram, or X does not automatically mean it is actually true. This is precisely where data becomes completely indispensable. Cold, hard data serves as our ultimate reality check, helping us clear away emotional bias, think with logic, and avoid rushing into foolish conclusions that lead us astray. You can think of the relationship between narrative and facts like this. A great story is what captures our imagination and draws us into the room, but reliable data is what keeps us grounded and leads us straight to the actual truth. When you step back and look at the big picture, our modern world is starving for better, higher quality stories. We need narratives that truly inspire us to grow, stories that inform our perspective with clarity, and, most importantly, narratives that are not just purely entertaining or designed for quick clicks, but actually speak the honest truth. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole topic. Please drop a comment down below and let me know what main takeaway or lesson hit you hardest after learning this breakdown. Also, let me know in the comment section what specific topics or wild psychological concepts you want me to review and break down in our next video. I am officially signing off for today, but do not forget to hit that subscribe button for the Obah India YouTube channel so you never miss an update. Peace out. Bye-bye.